So, just in case you don't know, it's Warframe's anniversary. It's 12th anniversary, to be more precise. Dear God, I've been playing this game for 12 years. This means that you can get a bunch of free stuff, including weapons, for essentially free by simply logging in and doing a handful of alerts that will pop out every week. The weapon alerts specifically are very much worth doing even if you already own the weapons, because they come with a free weapon slot, so you can get them again, delete the duplicates, and you get a free weapon slot. The Dex weapons are also not too shabby. The Dex Iberis is a solid primary, the Dex Furies are solid enough, bullet hose secondaries, and the Dex Dakra has a lot of potential as well. It's a pair of dual swords that do primarily slash damage with minimal amounts of impact and puncture. They sport a 16% crit chance, a 2x crit multiplier, and a 24% status chance. They're definitely on the slower side of things with a base attack speed of 0.883, though they do have decent range at 2.5. So let's give him a shot, shall we? Swirling Tiger is more than good enough, so let's slap it in. Since the crit chance isn't super high, I think we can actually use Blood Rush and do a duplicate crit setup. I checked the wiki, and apparently a 16% crit chance will give us about 85-ish, give or take, percent crit chance with Blood Rush, so we can easily use duplicate and run Galvanized Steel for crit damage and crit chance without getting too many orange crits. Let's just make sure that that's actually correct. My mathing isn't always spectacular. We are getting a handful of orange crits here and there, but it is mostly yellow crits, which is perfect. If you're doing literally no priming, even with a pet, run some variation of pressure point, but I'm gonna use Condi Overload. Berserker Fury for some much needed attack speed. I know the base range is decent and the follow through isn't the best, but as George Washington once said, more range equals more good. By far the best way to ramp up status chance here. I wanna see where we're at, so let's add Harold into the mix with Vital, yes. Harold is actually breaking our arcane. I forgot that he primes puncture, and since he's so good at priming, everything is covered in it and we end up having way too much crit. So we need to do something else. Though, with that said, the damage is still really good even with the arcane not working most of the time, so that's really nice. So duplicate goes out, which isn't the worst thing in the world. I still feel the arcane is far too expensive for what it does. We have a handful of options here. Afflictions is one because there are some lifts in the combo, so we could run that for additional status, or we can all beam down to Planet Sensible and just run Influence. This arcane is just too damn good. Alrighty then, Forma time. Get a V for Blood Rush. We can actually utilize the dash here with Shocking Touch, which is lovely, is it not? Yeah. Galvanize Elementalist, faux show. I'm very confident in saying that this is gonna be hella good, so I'm just leveling it in Steel Path Holovania. I know the crit on this is a bit meh, but it is an extremely solid weapon. Feels very, very good. Extraordinarily Gucci, one might say. Am I losing it? Maybe a little. This is the benefit of leveling very solid weapons. 5 minutes and we're pretty much done. Show me the damage, oh Acolyte. That's pretty good, actually. And if it wasn't Mania, which is annoying as balls, it might even be fast. One more V coming right up. Galvanized Elementalist, an absolutely massive multiplier. Tons of damage, and the status chance is actually gonna help as well. I generally prefer influence setups on slash-based weapons, even though influence doesn't actually carry the slash around. Influence only works on elemental damage, because influence setups are amazing for AoE. I mean, you can just look at the screen, right? Stuff's dying off-screen even. It's crazy. But it doesn't have the best single target, but that's where the slash comes in. This weapon is an absolutely monstrous pickup, especially for newer players. Now, I understand that you are not going to have the kinds of mods that you see me using here if you're a newer player, but it's something you can build up to, and that I always found that very enticing, right? Getting a weapon, being like, okay, I'm going to start off with something basic, and then over time, I'm going to build up into something great. Also, you could absolutely go with Tennokai on this, and it will give you better damage. It's just that I don't like to put Tennokai on everything. Sometimes I just like to have a light attack build or a heavy attack build and not squeeze in Tennokai, but if you want to max it out, Tennokai is the way to go. Do bear in mind that putting in Tennokai will cost you a lot more Forma. Is this the best weapon in the world? Absolutely not. There are better weapons, even similar weapons, but it's free and it's more than good enough. Like, once you have the full build going, you can easily go to level like 3, maybe 400 with no issues. That's pretty good for a weapon that you get from an alert for free. Man, I'm loving Swirling Tiger. The movement on this stance is fantastic. Get melted, Mania. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, I think we're pretty much done, so let's go do the thing. So here's a relatively straightforward influence build for the Dex Dakra. For the stance we have Swirling Tiger, which matches the polarity and is actually a fun stance to use. I like it. I did not end up going for Tenukai, but you very much can if you want to. It's just gonna be a bit expensive because you need to put in the adapter and then a bunch of extra forma. But it's worth it if you want to max out the damage you can squeeze out of this. For the mods, we run Condition Overload for base damage, though if you have no priming, primed pressure point, or some variation of pressure point, it's going to be better. Then we have Blood Rush for crit chance, Galvanized Steel for crit chance and crit damage, Berserker Fury for some much needed attack speed, Primed Reach for a bunch of range, Weeping Wounds for a ton of status chance, Galvanized Elementalist for status damage and status chance, and finally Shocking Touch for electricity. The Arcane is, unsurprisingly, melee influence, an absolutely cracked Arcane that can carry a build by itself, even if it's not fully ranked. I mean, I have it at rank 3. Now, if you're gonna go the Condition Overload route, you're gonna need some priming, and the best way to prime nowadays without having to actually do anything is to just run a good pet. I'm using a Hound, Good Boy Harold, that primes Code, Vital, Heat, Impact, Puncture, Radiation, and Magnetic. This provides a ludicrous amount of extra damage, because not only do you get the status effects on the enemies, you also get a bunch of damage scaling through Condition Overload. If you want to see the setup for Good Boy Harold, I recently made an updated video for him. And let's also not forget that I'm using the Naramon Focus School to sustain my combo. If you're using a different Focus School, you're either gonna have to run a Dexterity Arcade on your primary and secondary for the combo duration, or take out one of the mods and replace it with a combo duration mod. The Dex Dakra, despite it being a free weapon, is a very good weapon. The crit chance is somewhat mediocre and the attack speed could obviously be better, but that doesn't change the fact that it can absolutely rip through Steel Path. So yes, I would absolutely recommend you give this a shot, especially if you're a newer player. Start off with some basic mods and upgrade it over time. It's not gonna measure up to like a well-built Slampodus or even the Cronin Prime, but it's still a good weapon. It will happily carry a newer player through the entire star chart, and then once you get some fancier mods and you upgrade your build, it will take you through Steel Path too. So don't forget to log in during week 4 of the anniversary, which starts on the 28th of March and ends on the 4th of April, to do the alert for the Dex Dakra. And that is pretty much all I have for you today, so I thank you very much for watching, as always guys, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Then I would also like to extend a special thank you to all the channel members. Thank you very much guys, I really appreciate your support, it means a lot to me. And before we end the video, I quickly want to say that if you have any suggestions for the series, no matter how silly they are, usually the sillier the better, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.